Check this out. That's pretty cool. All right, first things first. We're gonna install package control. Cool. Then we're gonna install Marshall command code. Successful. We are gonna change our color scheme to be not Nate the Plate, the special edition. Nate the Plate made this. He's awesome. And then we're gonna open up the start game function. Boom, syntax highlighting. So pretty, so good. It's just like the game, except different. Next thing we need to do, you hear those birds? What? All right, whatever. We are going to hit creative mode, get out of here. Then we got to type a few things. First things we're going to do is type effect, give, add all, instant, health. And we'll just say 1 and 10. Yeah, 1, 9, true. Duplicate that. Type in saturation. And then we're going to hold down Control, select both these lines by clicking, and then type Minecraft and hit escape to go back to one cursor. If you click while you're holding Control, you can type multi-cursor, which is amazing. It's really good. You could also select something, hit Control and D, and select two things at once. Also really good. So now this solves two problems. First one is what if you start the game and you're already halfway done your health? What if you have saturation? We'll put that for 10 seconds. We'll put both these for 10 seconds with a level of 10, which is 9. And then we're going to hide the effects. So if we type in effect give, add S, saturation, and then it says 10 seconds for an amplifier of 9. And yes, we will hide the particles. Got it? Get it? Got it? Good. Great. So then we also need to reset the arena. So kill at E, type item. This will kill any of the snowballs that are on the ground that are left over from the last time. And also just any item whatsoever. We're going to clear everything. We're going to give everything. And then we are going to look at our project board. Our project board is saying players can sometimes pick up snowballs. What do? We'll come back to that one. Wind detection. One player is left alive. If you're like me and you don't want to open up your second Minecraft client, or you don't have more than one account, because I'm crazy. I have 2, maybe 3. I can't remember. If you just have one account, we need to test this with some other entities, which means we're going to do some fancy stuff now. We need to summon a lot of sheep, spread the players across the whole arena, and then we can start our testing. So first things first, we're going to right-click, delete the testing folder. What is that? We're going to go to new not a new folder, no, a new file. We're going to call it init. All right. So we'll save this, call it init.mc function. And we're going to say scoreboard, objectives, add, players. And we're going to call it dummy because this is not a specific scoreboard. So we're going to add it here, but then we're also going to say, there we go. We're going to remove the players right above it. So what this will do is every time we initialize the game, it will start the game. It will remove the player scoreboard, re-add the player scoreboard. That's what we're really looking for. Then we're going to go back to our main line. Remember, this is our repeating command block. We're going to say execute store. And let's do this in game. Execute store result in the score. At E, type sheep in the objective. So we're going to score sheep. We're going to call this sheep. That's the target. The objective is players. If at E type sheep. Oh, if entity type sheep. So the unknown objective is players, right? So now we're going to store those results. Do it again. Execute store result. And then we're going to score it on player. Player. And we're going to say type player. Then we're going to say, we're going to do something fancy. Scoreboard players, objectives, add. Actually, we can do it here. Total. Yeah, there we go. If entity type player. That makes sense. So execute store result of the score on sheep in the player's scoreboard if the entity equals type player, type sheep. Then execute store result score total players if entity at all. Yeah, just at all. We don't even need to specify the type. If entity at all. And let's go back to our initialize function. I'm hitting control and page up and page down to switch. Scoreboard, objectives, set display, sidebar, players. Got it? Yeah. That's good. All right. So now, reload, function spleef init. Boop. So now, if there are going to be sheep, which we will put in our start game, set up testing sheep. We will summon a lot of sheep here because we need some test dummies. That's what we're doing this for. Summon sheep here, here, here. That's it. All right. So we'll summon 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? And then we're going to change the spread players from at all to at E. Cool. So if we hit reload, it's not counting more than one sheep right now. That's interesting. If entity test path. Okay, yeah, that's good. We did it right. Boop. So sheep equal 11. Total equals 11. And we can definitely spleef them. Yeah. Sheep equals 10. Sheep equals 9. Sheep equals 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Makes sense? All right. So let's actually do this a little differently. So we're going to change the total to players. And then we're going to copy that line and do total. We're not going to copy the line. We're going to do scoreboard players operation. All right, we'll type this in game. Scoreboard players operation. And we're going to say total players equals players. And then we're going to add that total players equals plus sheep players. Okay, what I'm saying here? So we'll copy this in so we can see it all at once. And then boop. Nope. So this is what kind of where it gets fancy. For testing. There we go. So we'll hit reload. If we die, and we'll respawn, the total should always be 1. But as soon as we hit here, the total is actually 11. Because there's 10 sheep and 1 player, so the total equals 11. When the total equals 1, that's when we're going to end the game. So let's look and figure out what that is. Execute if score total players equals 1. Total players. This is interesting. Yep, total players matches 1. Run, say hello. Alright, so we'll spleef all of these. Spleef all 10 sheep. Got it, almost there. Come on. Nailing it. Got it. One more. Total equals 1. Haha! Alright. So this is the new thing. Function end spleef end game. Get it? Alright. Now for some explanation. Execute if the score total players matches 1. If this is true, run this function, which doesn't exist yet. We're going to make it exist right now. Add a new file, save it, endgame.mc function. Beautiful. So, problem with this is that it's actually going to have some issues. Say hello. So let's do it. Reloading. Now the server is constantly saying hello instead of ending the game, which is not what we want. So what we're going to do instead is make this an action function rather than a game function. So how are we going to do that? That is a good question. That is a very good question on how we're going to do this. Usually what I would do is I would have a function running the whole time. And that function would be called game. And that game would start clocking as soon as you hit the start game function over here. It would set up a clock to start doing that. And as soon as the clock is done, it would say end game, and you would stop that function. The thing is, there's nothing to say what's what anymore. So how do we tag something that says, hey, this is a thing that's happening? What I would normally do is reload. I would summon an entity and I would say, hey, is this thing playing? And then that would be the entity that controls my game state. So what I think I can do instead is tag Moesh, add playing. And then when we're done, we're going to remove the playing tag. Cool. Does that make sense? So then we can say execute if entity add all tag playing, run function spleef game. So we can do it this way, and I think we will for now until we get a source entity, but that's a little more complicated. So now if it's running the game, all we need to do here is say tag at all. Is that right? Tag at all remove playing. say game over. So this would be clocking if game is in progress. And let's do at E. No, at all. We'll just do it off of me. So now, start the game clock. Tag at all. Add playing. And that should be our game loop. We'll reload. Oh, it's saying game over. Why is it saying game over? Let's look at the main. If total players matches 1, run the spleef game. All right, so it's saying game over. If total players matches 1, if at all, unless at all tag does not have playing. That should work. No, unless entity. There we go. All right, so I did something crazy here. Execute if score total players matches 1 unless all entities at all does not have a playing tag. Then run the spleef endgame function. So now we've fixed it. So as soon as there's only 1 entity left in total, which there will be in a second, we'll say the game is ended. Game over. Done. We did it. All right. So then we need to teleport the players back to the board. If that looked confusing, it was confusing. Win detection. Detect 1 player left alive. TP players all back and reset the game. All right. So we'll TP here, here, here. No, it has to be teleport. Here, here, here. What's going on? Cool. Teleport at all. There we go. And we'll add this to the end game. And then we'll reload. Start the game. So we know the game started. The game clock should be going. Get this going. Kill all the sheep. Wow. Alright, one more. Game over, and we got teleported back. A little high, I would say. Let's go with 1.5. And then we'll go 136. 136. Reload. Try it one more time. Kill Addy type sheep. Game over. We did it. Cool. That feels pretty good. Alright. TP players all the way back and reset the game. I think we did that. So boop. Start spleef. Got it going. Nailed it. Come on. Got it. Perfect. I think that is pretty good. Let's take a look at the code and go over it one more time. We want to make sure everything's right. So execute store result, score players if there's an entity at all. So we know if there's entities, that's pretty cool. Execute store result, score sheep players if there's sheep entity, do it. Store the scores on the player scoreboard. Then scoreboard players operation, total equals players. Scoreboard players operation, total players, add sheep players to total players. So There are 3 scores on the scoreboard: total, players, and sheep. If there are sheep, then each of these add their scores to total, and you're just adding them together. That's what a scoreboard players operation does. Now, the fancy thing that detects if the game is running: execute if score total players matches 1 unless entity at all tag are not playing. So if we're not playing, don't run this function. How does this work? Oh, I see. Execute if total players matches exactly 1 unless the entity is not playing. Not if, but unless. Then run function spleef endgame. And then if the game is in progress, execute if at all tag playing run function spleef game. Then to end the game, if there's 1, we're going to remove the playing tag. We're going to teleport them back to start. We're going to say it's game over. We initialize something by saying scoreboard objectives remove players, scoreboard objectives add players, scoreboard objectives set display sidebar players. So if we reload function spleef init, you notice things stay exactly the same, even though that scoreboard was removed and re-added. If we were to comment this out, reload init, it would no longer be added. So we can prove that we have a clean scoreboard every time, which is the important part. We want no leftover data. It's like clearing your memory buffer or like having a new fresh page of paper every time you play the game. You just want everything to be as clean and as fresh as possible. Boop. And that's pretty much it. Let's do it. Let's commit this. Get cracking. See this new scoreboard dat? We're not going to keep that. We're going to ignore scoreboard data. Actually, we can ignore everything in data. Ignore and stop tracking. Then added initialize. Added new players scoreboard. Then in main, close out of here. In main, we did a couple things, so we're going to come back to that. Endgame. Players will be teleported back to starting platform when game is over. Start game. We're actually going to stage things specifically on this one. So we're going to click each one of these lines and do this in a couple ways. So first thing, adding testing sheep to be staged. So we staged everything in the start game function that is testing sheep, but let's also go over to main. This is execute store results sheep if there are sheeps. And then we're going to add the sheep to that. Store the result. We're going to look at main. Execute store result, store operation, awesome. To be adding testing sheet for multiplayer testing. Excellent. Then in main, execute result score if player at all. So we can stage all of this. So we're going to count the player, run game function if player is playing. What else did we do? Now counting players and storing. Stage that. Start game. Kill items. Refill health and food. What else did we do? Adapted commands for sheep inclusion. Oop. Git ignore. Now ignoring everything in data folder. Beautiful. Level dat. Updated project board. Arena now left in last game state. Because we didn't reset the arena when we finished it. And that's about it for me. Oh, push it live.